Hello everyone. Many of us coin collectors like to buy a little bit of silver from time to time when we have a few extra dollars to put away. There are many forms of silver that you can invest in, but for me, I prefer 90% junk silver. I think that obtaining and going through 90% junk silver coins is so much more fun than just stacking common bars or rounds. Plus, there is an opportunity that you can cherry pick varieties or overlooked better dates when you get a group of 90% silver coins. You really don't have much chance of getting something better than just the bullion value when you're buying bars and rounds. They're all the same. So, I recently got this bag here of Mercury Dimes, and in this video, I'm going to go through them to see if we have anything that we could consider better than junk. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. Trying to keep them on camera so they don't go everywhere. And there we go. Oh, it looks like so many more when you spread them out like that. So what I like to do when I get a group like this is, first, I mean, it can be overwhelming. What do? You start looking at them one at a time? Well, yeah, kind of. First thing I like to do, though, is I'm going to sort them out by decades. I'll put the Mercury Dimes were minted from 1916 through 1945. So I'll sort out any of them that are from the teens in a pile. I'll sort out anything from the 20s, and then sort the 30s together, and finally I'll put all the 40s together. I think that just makes things a little bit easier to then further go through afterwards if you just have them narrowed down by decade at least. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do most of that off camera, as it really does take a while to go through all these and sort them just even by decade. I mean, they're small coins, dates small, and it takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that initial sort, and I'll be back once that first sort has been made. Okay, everybody, I'm about a third to a halfway done by sorting these by decades. We got the teens over here, 20s up here, 30s over down here, and big pile of 40s here that's spilling off camera. Got some special ones I pulled that we'll talk about later. But I found one that actually this one, it's this one right here. It's bent, and I'm like, well, that's kind of a bummer. But I looked at the date, and I just want to show what we found under the scope. We found ourselves one of the good ones, and it is a 1921. It's in horrible shape, so I see why maybe someone along the way threw it in the junk silver intentionally. But it's still a better date. It's one of the semi-key dates of the Mercury Dimes series. And definitely one that I will be pulling out of this group, setting it aside as, it'll be a nice hole filler until someone can get one better. I mean, because usually when you see a Mercury Dime folder, 16 D's missing, the 21, the 21D, and then the overdates. And it's a 21 Philadelphia right there. Usually wouldn't expect to find something like that in junk, but that is why we look. That's what we look for. So we will definitely be setting that aside with our finds. I'm going to go ahead and continue this sort by decade, and if I come across anything else amazing, I'll come right back with that. Otherwise, I'll come back once this is all sorted out, and we'll go from there. Okay, we've completed that first sort of all these Mercury Dimes, and what we do is we sort them by decade. So we got a pile up here in the upper left. Those are the teens, 1916 through 1919. This little group over here are all the coins from the 1920s. This big pile right here, and I'm just messing that up right there. That is 1930s, and then this massive mound of Mercury Dimes are coins from the 1940s. We've already pulled some that I've already, in that first sort that I've set aside that we'll go over later, including that 1921. I just couldn't wait to show everybody. So what I do next is I go through each decade one at a time. I'll probably save this big pile of the 40s for last. And what I really do is I just look for the major finds. So in the teens, I'm looking just for the 16D or anything just really like better than normal grade for the teens. In the 20s, I look for the 21s or anything just, a good, nice grade. 30s, I'll look for the 31s and, just, like I said, anything high grade. or higher, or just something that I think is better than junk. And in the 40s, I'm really just looking for the 42 over 41 and the 42 over 41 Denver overdate coins. I know there's a lot of minor varieties and repunched mint marks and all kinds of other fun stuff on the Mercury Dimes. I mean, if there's dates that when I'm sorting through, I do look. I can't help looking, but I don't look at every single one of them just because, I mean, you could spend days and days looking at the coins if you're looking for every single variety. I just kind of look for the major finds and pull those if I see anything. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with the sorting these out, and if I see anything amazing, I'll get back on here, and if not, we'll get to the end with a recap. Okay, we're back, and that was a very long time and a pretty much hardcore strain on the eyes, looking at all those coins, sorting through all of them. Over 2,000 Mercury Dimes, and this is what I've pulled out as being, I guess, noteworthy enough to mention and or good enough to keep out of the bag of 90% junk and set aside as part of the collection, perhaps. Again, so here's what we got left. We had this one here. This was the 1921 that we pulled aside earlier. That is a semi-key date. We'll show it on the microscope one more time. It's in horrible shape. Definitely a 1921 Philadelphia, though. Just for reference, we pulled that one aside and looked for it because a 1921 in the Red Book and Good For is a $45 coin. Banged up and in this condition, it's not quite worth $45, I don't think. But for someone that doesn't want to spend $45 plus to put one in their album, this is worth more than junk silver. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I will definitely be saving that. Glad to find something like that in the bag. And, yeah, awesome. Now, we went through all the rest of the 1920s, did not find any other 21s. We looked through all the teens, no 16Ds, of course. You usually don't find stuff like that unless you're really lucky. There were quite a few 1916s, but no 16Ds. What we did find here is this one here in the bag of Mercury Dimes, just worth talking about. It's a Roosevelt dime. Shouldn't have been in there, but it's a 1963 Denver. So at least it's silver. At least it's a silver. So we'll pull that out of, it's still junk silver, but we'll pull it out of the bag of Mercury Dimes. We found this one here. This one here is a 1941 that's been gold plated. No extra value whatsoever. Probably hurts the value if anything, but really beat up. Probably it looks like it has some glue residue and stuff, and maybe even some plastic attached to it. Really bad shape, but I pulled it out. It's a find. It's something different. Definitely something different. Yeah, we went through all the 30s. I didn't see any no 31, no 31D, no 31S. I mean, I saved those because they're just slightly better if I find them. Went through all those 40s, tons and tons of 40s, tons of 42s, no overdates. So really no finds from there. But what we did find in all that was 5 Barber Dimes. And we'll go ahead and pull up the microscope and look at each of those. So we'll save the Barber Dimes separately. There's a 1916, very worn down, 1916S. Another one we found was this 1892, first year Barber. Can't really make out any mint marks, so it probably doesn't have one, but even if it does, it's all worn. But it's a first year of issue. It does make a difference if it did have a mint mark, but can't tell. There's an 1898. And that's out of the Philadelphia Mint. We also found another 1916. That one from Philadelphia. And the 5th Barber Dime was another 1916. Also out of Philadelphia. So not too bad. We bought a bag of those Mercury Dimes. And we get 5 Barbers. What I did when I was going through all the 40s in particular is I pulled out 4 that were just too nice to be keeping in a bag of junk silver, I thought. Or at least I pulled out the ones that were the best couple that I saw, just to give you guys an idea of what's there and what I thought were the good ones. So this one here just had some luster, looked a little nicer, 43D. I think it's worth a little bit more than just a junk value. This one here was pretty nice, 1940, tons of luster. Philadelphia. We have this one here, had a little bit of color to it. 45. Out of Denver. And then the last one I decided to pull out separate was this 1942. Again, they're not high grade or anything, but when you're going through 2,000 plus Mercury Dimes, you know, a couple of them, you know, stick out a little more than the others, and you just can't help setting a few of them aside. And after all that, there was this coin right here that was worth pulling aside. We found one right here. It is a seeded Liberty dime from 1891. So I wasn't expecting to find that. Very, very worn. Can't really identify if it has a mint mark or not. It would be right down at the bottom. If I use my imagination, I want to see something maybe there, but it's worn, and in this condition, it probably doesn't matter too much. But 1891 seeded. So we'll definitely pull that aside. Probably not worth much more than just the, you know, junk silver price in itself, but I'm not going to just throw it back in the bag of Mercury Dimes with the rest of them. I went through all that work, you know, we already sorted it. We're not going to put these back in there and mix them up again. That's what we sort them for. So there it is. Searching over 2,000 Mercury Dimes. Got a few finds. The 1921 is definitely the find of the hunt. And it's a lot of fun to go through that. It's a lot of work. That's why it's worth it, though. I mean, because a lot of coin shops or people that have had those coins before might not have taken the time to do that. That's how you can actually make some find. And you can actually pull things like that 42 over 41 over date in Mercury. It's possible. Those do get missed. It's a lot of work to go through every single one of them, but you just hope that someday it does pay off. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have fun with your collecting, and see you in the next video. Thanks again.